Hi, my name is Graham Smith, and I'm one of the authors that helped develop the learning approach to mathematics that is found in our textbook as well as the video you are about to experience. To learn more about our approach to learning mathematics, visit the web address that accompanies this video. Now, enjoy the video. The order of operations in signed numbers. This video will help you apply the order of operations to signed numbers. Apply the order of operations to signed numbers. When performing operations with signed numbers, we must follow the order of operations and be very careful of the signs in our calculations. Just again as a review, the order of operations, first thing we do is groupings. Second, we look at exponents. Third, multiplication and division from left to right as they occur. And fourth, addition and subtraction from left to right as they occur. Now let's take a look at some examples that will help you understand how to perform the order of operations with signed numbers. Example 1. We're asked to evaluate this expression. We want to make sure we follow the order of operations. So we start with parentheses. You notice we have parentheses here, but every one of these parentheses is already down to a single answer. So pretty much the parentheses step in this expression is done. So the next one we look for is exponents. We don't have any. Then we would look for multiplication or division. We do have some multiplication. So the very first thing we want to do in this problem is multiply that -2 times that +3. Before I do that, however, I'm going to write the rest of the problem. So I have 8 minus -4 plus, now we're going to go ahead and multiply -3 times +2. Well, different signs, so that's going to give us a -6. Okay? So multiplication is done. You'll notice now what I have left is I have subtraction and I have addition. So I'm going to do this subtraction here first. However, I want to change that subtraction to addition before I try to perform this operation. So I'm going to rewrite this. So remember, with subtraction, we change subtraction to addition, and then we're going to change the sign on this second number. And the second number right now is -4, so we want to make that a +4. Now this is going to stay addition just like it is because it started out as an addition sign, not a subtraction sign. Now that I've changed it all to addition, I'm just going to work left to right. So I would say 8 plus 4 is 12. And then the last step will be +12 plus a -6. I have more positives there. In fact, I have 6 more positives there. So I get a final answer of 6. Example 2. We're asked to evaluate this expression. So we're going to start with parentheses. And here we have some work to do in the parentheses. You'll notice I have some addition to do inside of those parentheses. So I'll copy everything else down. Let's take a look at the answer inside of those parentheses now. I have a -4 plus a -5. Those are the same kinds of things, so I'm going to add to make more negatives. So that would give me -9. Okay? Now my parentheses are all down to a single answer, so now I'm going to go to exponents. And I have some exponents right here. So I'm taking -4 to the second power. Notice that's in parentheses, so the negative is also being taken to that power. So this is really what I have. I'll come off on some scratch work and take a look. So this -4 to the second power means -4 times -4, and that's going to give me a +16. So let's rewrite this again. So I have -3 times, the answer to that was +16, so I'll put that in there. -9 divided by 3. Okay, so I'm done with exponents. Now I'm looking for multiplication and division. I have some division here on the end, so I would do that next. Before I do that, though, I'm going to rewrite the rest of this problem. Okay, now let's take a look. A -9 divided by a +3. Those are opposite signs, so that's going to give me a negative answer. So that would give me a -3 for my answer there. Now I have some multiplication to do in the front here. So I have a -3 times a +16. Well, first let's determine the sign, and then we'll worry about the multiplication. So it's a -3 times a +16. So those are opposite signs. That's going to give me a negative answer. Let's come over here and some scratch work. Figure out what 3 times 16 is. 3 times 6 is 18. Carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4. So when I get done with that multiplication, I'm going to get a -48. The last step now is to do the addition. Notice I'm adding -48 to more negatives. So I'm going to get a bunch of negatives here. In fact, I'm going to have 51 negatives in total. Notice how I've organized my problems both times in these order of operations problems. I've done one step at a time, working down, simplifying the problem until I get to a final answer, working down the page. Make sure in the next guided practice that you organize your work the same way. Now it's time to check your understanding of performing the order of operations with signed numbers. Pause your video player and answer these two guided practice questions. When you're done, hit play to see how you did. Question 1. We need to evaluate this expression, so we're going to start with parentheses, and we do have some work in the parentheses here. So I'll write 12 divided by -4 plus, let's get an answer inside those parentheses now. A -3 plus a +2. Well, I have one more negative than positive, so that's going to give me a -1. All right, the parentheses are now all evaluated, so I would go to exponents, and I have an exponent right here. So I need to take -1 to the second power. Notice the negative is inside the parentheses, so that is going to get included in what's being taken to the second power. So on some scratch work, let's take a look at what that would look like. -1 to the second power means -1 times -1, which is going to give me a +1. So I'll rewrite the problem. Now we're looking at division, so I would do this division next. 12 divided by -4, those are different signs, so that's going to give me a negative answer. That will give me a -3. And now I have a -3 plus a +1, so I have more negatives. In fact, I have 2 more negatives. So I get an answer of -2 when I evaluate that expression. Question 2. Again, starting with parentheses, I have some work in this set of parentheses to do. So I'll copy everything else down. Inside the parentheses, I have a -6 plus a +2. That means I have 4 more negatives there, so I should get an answer of -4. Now parentheses are done, so now I would look for exponents, and I have 2 exponents. I have one here and one here. So let's go off on some scratch work and figure out what that's going to be. So I have -3 to the third power. Notice the negative is included there, so that means I'm going to have -3 times -3 times -3. So let's take a look. I'd first, by getting the answer for these two, multiplying these two together. So a -3 times a -3 is a +9. And now a +9 times a -3 gives me a -27. And let's take a look. Notice I had an odd number of negatives here, so I should end up with a negative answer, and I have. So that's -27 up here for the first exponent. Now let's take a look at the next exponent. This is what I have in the next exponent. Actually, I just have the 4. This is a subtraction symbol right there, so all I'm going to do is take 4 to the second power. So 4 to the second power means 4 times 4, which just gives me 16. So I have -27, then I have minus, that was a subtraction symbol, 16. Okay, done with exponents. Now I'm looking for multiplication and division. I have some multiplication here. And I have a 3 times a -4, so that'll give me a plus -12. Now I'm looking for addition and subtraction, and I have both of those. Let's start with the subtraction first. Notice before I try to do this subtraction, though, I want to change it into an addition problem, so it would look like this. The -27 stays the same. Now I'm going to change subtraction to addition. This was a +16, so it's going to become a -16. Now I'm ready to add these first two together. So I have a -27 and a -16. Those are going to add to make more negatives. How many? We're probably going to have to do a little scratch work here to figure that out. So I would take 27 plus 16. 6 plus 7 is 12. Is 13. Carry the 1. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 1 more is 4. So I get an answer of 43, and that was -43. Notice I wrote that sign first so I wouldn't forget about that. And now I'm going to add -43 plus -12. Again, these are going to add to make more negatives, so I write down my sign, and now on some scratch work, I'm going to add 43 plus 12. 3 plus 2 is 5. 4 plus 1 is 5. So I get a final answer of -55 when I evaluate this expression. If you found this video helpful, I encourage you to check out our other videos that we have on YouTube, or visit the web address that accompanies this video to learn more about our approach to learning mathematics.